Hi, I'm Kevin Lewis, author of Teams, Tools, and Trials. I really wanted to thank you, first of all, for buying my team performance package. I think you'll find it very helpful. It's tight, it's got a lot of good stuff in it, and I've fine-tuned it over the years. And what I'm going to do here is walk you through the documents you should have downloaded, how you use them, some options, that kind of thing. So again, thanks so much. And this is something I really enjoy doing a lot myself, and I wanted to share with others. That's the whole kind of thinking about it. So let's get this. I want to go ahead and share my desktop here, and I have all the documents that you have downloaded. I just put it into one PowerPoint to make it easy, kind of for the presentation. So, assuming you're a facilitator, consultant, HR person, team, even if you're a team leader, this is the first thing you have to do is to send out an email to the team about this is what we're going to do. This is basically a Word document that you can download or have probably already have, and it has everything you need on it, what you're going to do, the objectives, the date, all that good stuff. So that's the first thing we do, and to announce when the workshop's going to be. Um, Something that's really important here is to let them know that when they answer the survey, there's a assessment that goes out that it's going to be shared with everybody. So it's anonymous. You don't know who said what, but it's not confidential because it's going to be, projected up on the screen in the workshop. So just make sure people realize that, and just take a look at this Word document. It's just very straightforward. It has a little screenshot of the agenda and explains what you're trying to do. So now this is the team triangle. I developed this many years ago, and make this a little smaller so we can see it. Based on just a lot of research over the years, and you'll know this like the back of your hand when you're done with this. But basically, teams have to be good at task. In other words, what's the purpose? What are we trying to do? Why do we exist? They have to have clear roles and good relationships, and then good processes. How do we divide up the work? How do we make decisions? That kind of thing. So this is the heart of the whole uh, high performance team workshop is based on this model. And then the output of this team obviously is achieving goals, deliverables, having your customer satisfied. So we'll revisit this a little bit later as we move along. So I wanted you to just kind of lay the foundation for that. So now there's an assessment that works out that what you send everybody, before the workshop, and that's discussed in the Word document that I showed you. And this is basically it's a spreadsheet. It's got 28, 29 items, Likert scale, that people will strongly agree or strongly disagree to. For example, statements. Our team knows its priorities. And if they agreed, they would put a 4. Sometimes they put an X there. And I just carry it over to the column here. So it's got these Likert scale statements. You send this out beforehand. I give them about 7 to 10 days, business days to get it back. And then about 3 or 4 days in, you can send a reminder, say, hey, we got 3 responses. We got 5 more we need to get. So those are the statements over there. And then at the next page, you have open-ended statements. So from either a business impact or internal team effectiveness standpoint, what should the team start doing? What should the team stop doing? What should the team continue doing? And then the leader's name, let's say it's Fred, or what has worked well and how Fred is supporting your team. How could Fred support the team more effectively? Okay, pretty straightforward. So that comes out. And then what you'll do is um, okay, how'd that happen? Yeah, there we go. Is the This is the populated assessment. So you get everything back. Say you've got 8 people on the team. In this example, there's 4 people on the team, just to keep it simple. And then you basically roll up all their responses. So you would cut and paste from, the first response from name one to put it in here, the second person, third person, obviously. And then there's this is the mean score, the average. It's got it built into it, the macro. And then the other thing is the leader takes this as well. It's very important. So what we could do is we can compare what the mean score was for the team on a certain item and what the leaders said. And then you never show this spreadsheet on a screen like this. This is just for us. This would be cut and pasted onto a PowerPoint. I'll show you that when we get there. All right, so just pretty straightforward. And here's the delta. So this is the difference between, for example, We listed with an open line when we disagree. The average score there was 3 for the team. And then, I'm sorry, the leader said 3, and then the team said 4.75. So when there's a variance, that's when you discuss that. And then the statements come here. So, and then what we do is as well in the workshop, we we don't have time to look at 29 statements. So we look at the top 5, like the highest scoring and the lowest scoring uh, scores. So in this example, so we sort it. And so the lowest scores here, just the way the high scores are on the bottom. I'll show you that in a second. But our team stops to examine how well it's working together. So those are the lowest scores. You don't get a lot of ones and twos, usually threes, 3.5. And then scroll here. These are the top 5 scores. Team members trust one another. That's always a good one. Our team solves problems. And those, again, you cut and paste over into the PowerPoint, which we'll get to in a second. So here's a PowerPoint that is too big. So let me make this a little bit smaller so we can all take a look at it. So obviously, this is the workshop cover. Definitely put the date on there, the team. If you do 2 or 3 of these, you'll kind of forget maybe what year it was, and maybe 2 years ago. It's like, oh, let me pull that up. Do that. Here's the agenda. It's about a couple hours, 2.5 hours. I like to do it over lunch. It's just easier that way. People are eating, and you're not taking them away from too much work. So we walk through the agenda. And I'll go through each of these things. So you take about a minute, walk them through what it's going to be, and you kind of go from there. So now the objectives, definitely want to read this. This is why are we here? Describe what a high performance team looks like and how well we're doing as a team. And then what can we work on to improve our effectiveness? And then, so this is a nice icebreaker, best team exercise, a lot of fun. And so what you do is say, hey, think about teams you've been on, high school, college, work, whatever, any kind of team, sport teams, and say, what's the best team you've ever been on? And then you say, what made it so good? And then what was the team leader's role or influence on the team? So have people think about that. You can even send it as a pre-read thing, say, this is what we're going to do, be thinking about it, or do it on the spot and give them a couple of minutes to think about it. And then, every now and then somebody say, I've never been on a decent team, which is not a good thing. So say, here's what's kind of fun too. Think about the worst team you've ever been on. Okay, what was that like? And then you know what to do. You do the opposite, right? So if it was a worse team, you know what not to do on a team. That's kind of fun. So this is a good icebreaker. And then after that, the definition of a team. I like, getting an operational definition of it. This is from a really good book called The Wisdom of Teams. Read this, see if they have a definition they like any better, whatever, and then kind of walk through that. And then this is a really good summary of some pretty recent research on teams. Google had some really good stuff a few years ago, and these are just summaries of uh, of what teams can be good at. And it's very similar to my team triangle. So obviously it's based on research. So go walk through these. And then this isn't a lecture. So say, what do you think about these? It's a dialogue, right? Does this make sense to you? Is there something else you've seen on teams? And maybe if you read an article, get a dialogue. It's not a lecture. Here's the team triangle again, and something I didn't talk about earlier. You definitely want to read this. This is my mentor from University of Texas, Oscar Mank. He was an engineer by undergraduate and then got a doctorate in psychology, basically. And so he talks about tasks. We always start with tasks. What's the purpose of the team? This rectangle is kind of interesting too. So if there's a team of 5 people who have to meet one time to identify what restaurant we're going to go to for a celebration or something, they only have to meet one time. They don't have to like each other. That's just a task right here. But basically, the longer the team spends time together and the more interdependent the team, then the relationship piece becomes much more important. So that's just something you might want to bring up as well. This is really, really kind of cool too. It comes from Wisdom of Teams. I like this a lot. This is a way to get people to go and move around. So what you do is as pre-work, you would get a couple flip charts, and I'll show you on my facilitator guide. I'll show you where to buy the flip charts from Amazon. You got a little adhesive sticking on the wall, but you're going to project this first, and eventually you will put this up on the wall as well. But let's walk through this. So basically, what this says is, and this is based on research, if people are really a group, they're not really a team yet, but the boss says, I want you to be a team, it takes time and energy to do that. Okay. So these arrows come in an animation. And if you're a working group and you want to be a team, you actually lose productivity because you have meetings, you got to talk to each other, they're doing your thing, and you lose productivity. Eventually, you become a potential team, and then you might become a real team and a highly high performing team. So walk through this data here. And then after you kind of project it on the screen, then go to your flip chart and ask people to uh, put a dot. There's little hot dots. I'll show you an example of those, or a marker. Where do you think this group is right now? And get people to stand up. The team leader has to stay last. Don't let the team leader, mark what he or she thinks. They do it last because that will influence everybody to do, oh, well, if she thinks we're a team, we all got to be up here, that kind of thing, right? Or if he thinks we're over here. So put dots or marks on here and then have conversation. You got and say, hey, Judy, you think we're a real team? Bob over here thinks we're still a working group. What's up with that? And then just talk about it. It's a very good way to get some dialogue going. And then after you do that, then we go to the output of the assessment that they answered, the Likert scale and the statements. This is kind of interesting too. So what we do is it's kind of a heat map. So on those statements, you'll see like the top five, like our team trusts each other. Well, if your mean score was 4.1 or 4.5, whatever, then that's a strongly agree. That would be green. If you disagree, it's red. Red's bad, green is good. So these are again, and then obviously you have this PowerPoint, you'll put the right scores in. So we copied and pasted, from the spreadsheet. 4.75. We listen with an open mind. We solve problems. And you'll have some ties here. It doesn't have to be top five. It could be six or seven, but just the ones that are most the high scores. And then here are the lowest scores. Our team is stops to examine how well it works together. We organize in a way to keep our goals, blah, blah, blah. So we talk about that. And then here's where we compare the mean score for the average with what the leader thinks. This is pretty good stuff. Although this is a great good example. And this is all real data, from previous teams. We listen with an open mind even when we disagree. The team says, "Oh yeah." Leader goes, "I don't think so." So, okay, where are we on that one? What are you seeing or not seeing? Again, facilitation here is critical, in an obviously non-confrontational way. We're just kind of getting our data out there is what it comes down to. And then this is where your statements would be, the start, what should we start doing? And it's important both from a business impact point, what should we start doing with our customers, internal, external, whatever, and then or the internal team effectiveness standpoint, how we work together as a team. So that's open to either one of those kind of ways to go, or both. And then starts doing, stop doing, continue doing. And then what, again, let's say Judy's your boss. How well is Judy supporting the team? And what could Judy do more effectively? It's really good data. This is the heart of the whole thing. I mean, the Likert scale stuff is good, but I think the statements are usually they validate one another. There's this relationship. And then this is an example of highest priority team effectiveness. So what's the thing that we should work on? So these are just some examples. Set and have monthly meetings. Think about it. Have a shorter meeting. So put a couple things up there and then talk about that. And if you have time, you can actually start working on them. Or you delegate, maybe two or three people go off with action items, or you just say, well, just next week in a team meeting, we'll start working through these things. And then next steps. So the two they identify most important team processes, revisit the roles and everything, put a date in, you're ready to rock and roll. And then the last thing you'll have, and again, hopefully the facilitator the facilitator guide is very detailed. I'm zipping through it here to give you a sense of it, but it's very, very detailed. So definitely get that, print it out, look at it. But this is anytime, even if it's just a 2-hour workshop, like can be a couple hours, we still want to know what worked, right? So high performance team workshop evaluation. And basically you can send this. I like to have it ready to go. So the minute they walk out of the room, while I'm sitting there and just kind of eating a cookie or whatever, kind of drink of water, just kind of slow down a little bit, you send this to everybody and you ask them, hey, just here are the objectives. Describe what a high performance type looks like. That's what we can do now. Do you think so or not? And then the thing I like most about the workshop was this. And if I could have done one thing differently, if we could have, we should have done what, right? And then I would pull all that together and then obviously send it back to everybody, definitely to the team leader. and uh, and kind of go from there. And one of the most important things you have to think about is you have to have a meeting with the team leader, obviously before any of this, and talk about the whole process and go through it. And if he or she wants to add a couple more, statements, questions at the very end, open-ended, you can certainly do that. And then and then what I always do too is before the meeting, so you send out the survey, it comes back, and then you have a few days before the workshop. The most critical thing, sit down with the leader, look through all the data, and make sure you're very comfortable with it and what the game plan is going to be. And tell him or her, do not send that to anybody because it's better if they're seeing it fresh eyes at the same time. If they pre-read, they could send it to somebody else, they would already see it. That's not good. So that's one of the key things, right? Okay. So if you need some tools, then if you haven't got my book yet, buy it. It's pretty inexpensive for what you get. And there's actually, then you can get to a part of my website that has some tools you can download. So that would be a good thing to do. So that is about it. Again, I really want to thank you for buying that team performance package. I think if you take your time, you look very carefully at that facilitator's guide, go through that, you'll be fine. It's real easy. It's not that difficult. And if you have any questions before that, if you're kind of like a little nervous or whatever, send me an email. Okay, won't toss you a dime. I'll just give you a quick response, and we'll go from there. And I'd love to, if you have a good workshop, or if it wasn't as good as you like, send me the evaluations. We'll see how we did. Okay. So good luck. Again, if you need anything at all, send me a text. I'm sorry, an email, and I'll respond. We'll go from there. Thanks. Appreciate it.